Welcome everybody to episode 4 of Tales from the Tackle Shop.
Yay!
Got it right that time. That was take number 3. We'll be okay now. We haven't done actually a podcast for quite some time.
Feels like ages.
It has been ages because people won't perhaps realise this, but we rammed in several in succession. Well, the first 3 because I was gallivanting all over the place. So
It's hard at the top, isn't it?
yeah,
Yeah.
got a nice tan. My belly's expanded with all the Heineken that I had in Holland, chips, and then all the beer Maretta.
Beer Moretti, yeah.
Yeah, had in Italy and chips. So I reckon I've put on 2 kilos
You go steady.
like this. Anyway, right, let's do that. So this is what we're going to talk about. So episode 4 and 5, we're going to focus on Tinker. But today we're going to talk about how we're going to fish for tench. And then hopefully, if we can get organised, episode 5 will be most of the podcast us actually
Fishing.
But
Is that another challenge?
of course, it's a challenge. We're going to go on biggest fish.
Oh, look out. Biggest fish.
We can go.
You've been thinking about this, haven't you?
Yeah.
The only way I could beat him is I might get one a couple of ounces bigger.
You've got to catch them first.
Or you're gonna fiddle the scales, and then if like I'm an ounce bigger than you, you're gonna have a reweigh. So
There's a very famous or infamous pike angler called Nigel Williams,
Oh,
and he was he allegedly used to stuff dead baits down pike's gobs to make them way heavier.
Oh,
So
right.
we need some very heavy sweet corn to get down the old tench's gullet, or a bit like the walleye anglers, just use lead weights. That'd be a lot easier. No, okay. So let's discuss it now. Then, is it numbers or combined weight overall, or
Well,
how do you want to do it? I'll give you carte blanche here because we're not going to catch many. So I'm in the game.
not gonna catch many.
Well, I'm going to take you somewhere where we're probably going to catch
right.
one each.
Okay. Well, no, we'll do it on weight if you like.
All right, combined weight,
Yeah.
total weight,
Yeah.
tench bag. That's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
Forfeit.
Oh, we didn't have a forfeit last time.
We'll think of one for them.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, guys, in the comment, forfeit.
Right.
Let us know what you think. It's yeah. So the shake could be in trouble here. Yeah, I got smashed with the bream, and yeah, I didn't think of
I
a
had 2
forfeit.
tench that day in order to try and avoid him.
Bolt rig. Unbelievable. Anyway, right, so we're going to talk about tench fishing and how we'd go about it. But before we do that, we're going to talk about all sorts of other things that have happened nationally and more with ourselves as well.
Yeah.
So give everyone an update what's going on. First things first, I'm going to dive straight into this. Big thank you for everybody who has contributed so far to the raffle, the squares that we're selling. So Alex, you've donated the Daiwa Tournament S
Yeah.
rod, which is a really handy bit of kit, particularly fishing the fens, because
Well, yeah.
it's a short waggler rod basically, isn't it?
It's 11'6". It's obviously 500 quid rod. Perfect for light commercial work and obviously fishing the drains for rudd. It's not quite long enough for maybe a bit of surface breadflake fishing if you're a specimen angler, but for rudd. But for the drains, little wagglers and things like that, it's bang on. Absolutely bang on.
I think for big rod it'd be fine. Wouldn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
it'd be
And
perfect.
it's just a top of the range tournament rod.
Yeah.
You don't want a tournament rod.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
We've also got some Daiwa bits and bobs and some stuff from Simon
So,
Wills.
all
as
love you,
well.
Simon. Yeah, he's brought some bits in.
So I reckon we're about 200 quid up so far, as in
Yeah,
about 100 squares. So
Yeah.
guys, there's a link in the description for the PayPal link, but it's called something. It's called. It's obvious. You'll find it. I'll put a little arrow in the description where it is. And obviously, if you go to the shop, chuck some money in
Yeah,
the bucket
definitely.
and fit in some squares.
Change, couple of quid.
Yeah. So keep going. We want to try and hit a grand, 500 squares if we possibly can. So we've got a long way to go yet, but keep going with that. And another venture that we're doing as the boat team that might actually, Adi Stokes might fancy this.
Really?
He's always been trying to get me to take him lure fishing.
What is it? A trip round the Emirates Stadium?
Mate, we will start the banter soon.
Both empty, aren't they?
I think there's a few people been missing me, like Mr. Chave. He's been trying to stir it a little bit.
Has he?
Oh yeah.
New season and all
Yeah,
that.
yeah. These Unites they're very keen, aren't they? Beginning of the season, you get to November, they start
Yeah.
pouring.
I've been having some bets with people this year on football.
Have you?
Yeah. Pat North said I've had a bet that Newcastle will finish ahead of Liverpool. I don't know if I was brave or what, but don't know. I just fancy it.
Oh, that's a good bet. they're in transition.
Yeah.
Has Trent Alexander, has he gone?
I don't know. I haven't really been following the football really. Obviously, we've got to talk about that. England failed at the last hurdle again.
Well, don't talk about that.
Jeff won't like it.
It's Harry Kane, isn't it? He's jinxed.
Oh, it's Harry Kane.
It's jinxed, isn't he?
I think it's Gareth Southgate, to be fair.
Well, it's both of them, but Harry Kane is jinxed. But we'll get on to it. Well, I think we'll start the football banter off very soon. But
Yeah.
Chavy, Stokes. Anyway, what I was going to say is that an initiative that we're running on the 18th of August is that Angling Water have kindly allowed us to have 4 boats.
All right.
And lure fishing, basically, out of season. So we're allowed on early, which this is the thing.
How early is it?
It doesn't open till 1st of September.
Right.
So we've planned a team day. So there's going to be 4 members of the England team there, 4 boats, and we're basically going to coach Gilly take out anglers. So we're going to use all our tech, take them onto the water, get them catching some perch and zander. Obviously not pike; it's too warm for that. The oxygen levels will be too low in the water. But we're going to do a little classroom session first, about half an hour, PowerPoint on different techniques, tactics, how to use your tech. But not too much. But we want to get out fishing. So we're going to have 2 anglers in a boat with the team member, and we're going to do a morning session and an afternoon session. And basically, it's £100 per person, and people will go, "Oh, that's a lot of money." And it's if you take into account your permit, the boat hire, it's actually not that much money, much more, and you're getting off the water early, and obviously you're with one of us lot of awesome anglers who can take you around and show you what to do and catch you some zander and perch. So that sort of thing, I think, would be perfect for like a birthday present, or like a gift for somebody who's a keen lure angler, or even AD Stokes who wants to get into lure fishing. So that's something that we're doing. So if you want more details, guys, there's information on a reel on my Facebook page, but also the best thing is to contact me directly and I can put you onto that. So that's another good thing. We've only got 16 slots, obviously, for that, and that's going pretty quick. So if you want to get on board with that one, then just give me a shout. So that's good. How's things with you at the fishery? Steady away?
Steady away. It's the sun's out and there's a lot of people out. Half term, obviously. Well, 6 weeks holidays. Lots of kids fishing at the minute. We're always busy with matches, which is good. Thankfully, match anglers come wherever the weather they turn up. The pleasure angler side of things has taken a while to kick in, really. Trade wise, there's obviously now it's like full bore, full swing. Every competition in the world is going now, and come August, September, all the sort of rivers and drains hopefully start fishing. They've been very slow.
There's a lot of weed, isn't there? There's going to be
well, I think locally the drains have got a lot of weed, but there's a lot of small fish. Whereas the big rivers, the Yare's been fishing really tough. The Trent's fishing very tough. Whether the floods from last year have affected it, I think it has. But everything's a month behind. The fish are a month late spawning.
Yeah.
So yeah, but the fishery's fishing it's switched on now. It's like from now until it gets cold, it'll just be brilliant. It'll be phenomenal fishing. We had a UK champs start of July.
Was that the Maver one?
No, so we've had a Maver one a couple of weeks ago.
Let's talk about that in a minute. So the UK champs first. What was that one?
So the UK champs was obviously prestigious event. We've had that the last 3 years now, and they fish fairly late, fish into the evening. And the winner of that was Ryan Lidgard. He had £320 from Magpie. The top 3 all come from Magpie on that one, but all the other qualifiers we've had this year, it's been the other lakes, which has been really nice. Ravens won a few. Jay's won one. You know, in the big qualifiers, a lot of people say, "Oh, you need to be on Magpie. I need to be on Magpie." Maybe if you get a really good angler on certain peg, then it's game over. But this year, it's been nice to the fact that the other lakes are competing with it, if you know what I mean. So £320. There's a 2. I think Andy Power. Obviously, he's come a long way. He's come all the way from, I think he lives Somerset way. He had £290 odd. And then Adam Wakeling had 260s. 221 Raven or near about that, 190 odd pound one Jay, and 230 odd pound one Crow. So, and everyone had a good day's fishing. £100 everywhere, which is what we try and pride ourselves on, that everyone gets a day's fishing. We've had Maver qualifiers, so the recent one of that, I think Ashley Blunt won it with £228. It's really close.
And was that televised, that one?
That one wasn't. The UK Champs was.
Right. Okay.
So if you want to see me doing some superb commentary.
Were you commentating?
Yeah, I was commentating. So it is on TNT Sports, which used to be, what was it called? What was it called? BT Sport.
Yeah.
So if you've got that channel, it was on a couple of Tuesdays ago, but I'm sure there'll be repeats on it on the bank. But if you go on their YouTube channel, I think it's on there as well.
Do you know, I just realised the chair's in the way.
Yeah, I did think that earlier, but I didn't want to say anything because I didn't want to like. 3, 2, 1, back in the.
Right, we're back. So yeah, so you can tell we haven't used the podcast studio for a little while because
yeah. So
that's
on YouTube. What else we had? What else we been doing?
So was that how many? Was that just one program? Was it?
It's round 2 of the UK Champ. So the round 1 is already out. That was at Makins. That is definitely on YouTube because I've seen that. But round 2 should be on YouTube anytime soon.
Oh, cool.
So yeah.
Oh, and you're in front of the camera.
Yeah.
Well, you used to
commentary
of all this, talking shit.
Yeah, I could talk about anything, me.
Yeah, definitely. So that's good. So and also I saw New Fish had a few posts. They've been down to.
Yeah, they did a lovely video, which is quite good.
I saw them claiming best fishery in the country.
Is this the best fishery?
Yeah.
Question mark. Yeah. So that was nice.
Yeah.
So it's been busy. Has been busy. Bait orders and yeah, it's been good. Can't moan. I've done a couple of visits to the Neen or Nen for Ady Stokes and the rest of the crew from that way. That's been hard, very hard. Mainly pike a chuck.
That's all right.
Pike fit. I don't know what it is. Oundle. Every time you hook a roach, it gets eaten.
It's because they get stimulated.
It's ridiculous.
Excuse me. They get stimulated, don't
But
they?
there's not one. There's like 2 or 3 in your peg. The other week I had a 2-pounder and then an 8-pounder tried to eat the 2-pound pike that was eating my rudd that big. And you're like, really? Just leave me alone.
When the water temperature gets warm, mate, everything gets aggressive, doesn't it?
Yeah, jumping out of the water. Like striking and like every fish, you just strike and just carry on pulling through. And the roach comes out of the water and the pike just goes bang. And it's like, oh, that's another hook length gone. In the end, you just give up. Paddle boarders, canoeists. Oh, mate.
I need to come down when you've just finished a comp and use some top waters, I reckon.
Unbelievable. You know, like when you chuck fish back, bleak swim off funny, don't they? They're nailed within seconds, mate. It's like, bang. Oh, there's one. And then you watch another bloke weigh in every peg. And there's hundreds of pike through there. Yeah, they chuck lures and they don't catch hardly any. It's weird, isn't it?
They're not daft, are they?
No.
Not daft at all.
But that's it from a fishing front, really. A couple of visits to Oundle. Yeah, that's it, really. You? Been much?
Well.
Where do we start?
Where do we start? Went to Holland. So I had about 8 days over there fishing the World Predator Classic. That was a fantastic experience. And has had a lasting effect. I've always wanted a big boat. And that's why I bought a kayak, because I couldn't... I kind of thought I could use a kayak more, but actually, if you want to fish these big comps, you need a big boat and you need to travel to Holland and Ireland and do all these things. So that started a whole series of events in my head. So I just sell a kidney, remortgage the house. Hey, we'll see what happens. But
hey, why not?
Yeah, so Holland was really good.
You got all the tech to go on it, so you just need the boat.
Yeah, so it's not so bad, but obviously. You know, like you with poles, me with tech, upgrading. Anyway, World Predator Classic was really good. So we're on a massive body of water called Heron Fleet and Holland's Deep.
Right.
Pronounced those two really badly. They're just, it's like it's basically where the North Sea comes into Holland, but they've dammed the sea entrance.
Yeah.
And there's gates that allow the water out. So it's tidal, it's massive. very deep in places. The fish are very aggressive, which helps because once you find them, you can catch them. My boat partner Dan Brackley, he has fished there quite a few times. No, a few times, not quite a few times, and he's got certain areas passed to him from like the Lawrence team who fished there, but it's very historical. So we really struggled to catch perch. So the card was one pike, was it 3 or 4 zander and 3 perch every day, which sounds simple, but you've got to catch big uns, and basically on such a big expanse of water, if you're not on them, you're not on them. So we did all right with the pike and zander every day, but the perch we really struggled. It wasn't until the third day we got into the perch. So day 1 we were 83rd out of 101. Second day we were 64th out of 101, and day 3 we were 38th out of 101. So for me, I love that we were getting better each day.
Yeah,
we had a few days practice, but we didn't have enough time to even get into it, and that's so now. In my head, it's like the learning process is fantastic. So I really want to go back and get better and better. Fishing against these guys are the best most of the best lure anglers in Europe, competition wise. Doesn't faze me at all because I know when I'm on the fish, I can match them. Yeah. I even beat them. It's just the fact that you need to have the knowledge of the waterways. Yeah. But what we did, we worked out the going methods, the baits to use, and the colours really quick. So when we were on them, we caught them straight away. So that was really quite nice as well. It's a lack of knowledge of the water, really. So that was that. Then came back, had a very short turnaround, then went off to Italy with the England kayak, with most of the England kayak team. So they were training on Lake Bracciano, which is this huge collapsed volcano that collapsed hundreds of thousands of years ago. The lake's about 500 foot deep at its deepest. They pump the water for drinking water for use in Rome. Mm-hmm. So you can imagine it's a massive body of water. Yeah. Obviously, they filter the water before they drink it. It's fed. So I was thinking, well, if you're pumping water to Rome, that sounds a lot of water coming out of this place. Yeah. So I was speaking to locals about it, and they said it's fed by the local rivers and mountain streams, and actually they have to divert a lot of the water into the sea from rivers. A bit like the drains here, particularly in the colder, wetter months, because it's just constant. So from the snow melt, because we had to come through the Italian Alps, and actually when you look at it all, you kind of go, there's a hell of an ecosystem going on here. So that was really cool fishing there. So we were fishing for bass and perch. So I had never targeted bass before. I caught a few musky fishing by bycatch. So that was really cool, just using different techniques on the kayak. My first contact was a tench, about £4, on a 5-inch lure. Absolutely nailed it. I put a picture up here. It was like, absolutely nailed it. Like,
is that what you're going to use on the challenge lure?
Yeah, might do. So that was really cool. Totally unexpected. And then my first bass contact, I broke a rod. Smashed at the spigot.
Really?
They're not very big. It was about £2, but I hossed into this thing and it just went.
Just give it the old. Go keeper.
Just went bang! The rod, it just exploded above my head, cracked,
shattered.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool, wasn't it? Have the rod go, made me laugh, and then I struggled for the rest of the week. But what I did learn as well was Holland was quite extreme conditions. It was rough.
Yeah, windy.
Very. Yeah. And then going from there to sitting in a truck for 3 days because we drove to Italy.
You drove then?
Yeah. My back, I was buggered. And then trying to pedal around these bloody plastic tubs. I spent a lot of the time sunbathing, drinking beer and waiting. Chilling. I was so knackered. I thought, you know what? Do I really want to be doing this? In 40-degree heat, it was hot. So I actually thought, have a bit of a holiday. And I had a lovely time. I actually met quite a few lovely people in the campsite. There were some Dutch people there. So we watched the Euro finals there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a really nice place. And they were so friendly. Like, everybody was so friendly. And it was old Italy, as in...
Yeah.
You just around the local towns, it's just how you expect old Italy to be. And the architecture is amazing. It's just, when you look at how the buildings are made out of the local rock that's available, and you go into, no one speaks English, which I love, because why should they? So Google Translate was used a lot, and shrugging your shoulders. We went into a couple of tackle shops, and they were brilliant. Really, and the tackle shops are amazing, like really bespoke for the fishing in the area. So that was really cool. And I think the last thing I need to mention was I met the owner of the campsite. He's 74. He's got a 10-metre yacht, about 33 foot. And he sails it solo. He just goes off. So in August, he's doing a 2-month cruise to his church, which is in Crete.
Right.
So he's sailing across the Med on his own. And I said, how do you do that? He goes, well, he has like an hour's sleep at night, catnapping. And he has tech on his boat that will warn him if there's another vessel in the area. So he tries to keep away from these vessels at night.
Wow, hold me to sleep. Boy, an hour. That's it, like an hour wake up, hour then wake up.
Because you can't go to shore because he's in the middle of the Mediterranean. And he fishes from his boat. He trolls big lures for tuna. And he was showing me the pictures of these tuna he caught on his yacht. So I thought, 74. Absolutely incredible. Just shows you that you've got to keep her active. And I think over there as well, the food they eat, the lifestyle, they're all in really good shape, as in not as in bodybuilders, but trim. You look at all the people in the local villages, all really trim and very healthy. And you kind of think,
plenty of vitamin D.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, so that was really cool. But
did you have to ring Simon? Oh, love you, Simon. Can you just translate this for me?
Well, he would have known, wouldn't he? I didn't think of that. Actually.
Well, you see, I can't believe you didn't.
I did quite well, shrugging shoulders and normally pointing. And
did you go, do you know this guy? Oh, free. It's free.
Oh, well, they know Simon Willsmore, yeah. Do you know Hydra? Oh, Hydra. Hydra.
Yeah.
No, that was cool. Yeah, right. Let's get on to tench fishing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right, so with the bream fishing, we put quite a bit of time into prepping a swim, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. Well, if you're going to go old school, then traditionally you would rake your pegs.
That's what I'm going to do.
You're going to do it when you get there, are you?
No.
Oh.
No, I'm going to prepare the swim beforehand. So this is what we've got. So we're going to fish next to each other. Mm-hmm. Do you want me to rake your swim out?
No, I'll do my own tanks.
Can I borrow your weed rake, though?
No.
What do you mean, no?
Of course you can.
So what I'll
£1
think...
a minute.
Smashing the lily pads out at the root with that.
Yeah.
Just explain to everyone what that weed rake you've got. It's like a...
Everyone says, oh, it's the wrong way around, but it's not. It works a treat.
Yeah.
Absolutely works a treat.
So it's about...
It's bigger than... It's like the Grim Reaper of all Grim Reapers, isn't it?
Stainless steel thing.
Putting it on your barrow, it's like, ooh, he means business. But they do the job. They cut cabbages, lilies, everything. Because it's that way, as it cuts, it releases. Whereas when it's the other way, it clogs up.
Yeah.
And people say, oh, no, it should be that way. Well, in your head, yeah, maybe it should be. But because it's like that... I can't remember which way it is now. Yeah, it is that way, Alan. Yeah. As you're pulling through, it's pushing... The ones you're cutting is pushing the old ones away, so it constantly leaves the blade sort of clean. And it just goes... Bloop, 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 bloop.
Yeah, the lily pads...
About 10 minutes, there's stuff popping up. And you think all that stuff that's activating on the bottom...
So what I was thinking of doing is using the blade to chop the lily pad roots away.
Yeah.
And then using my little rake to actually get...
Yeah.
Then going back through the rake afterwards. Because, yes, you're right. Traditionally, what you would do is rake a swim. And you do it before you actually... The day you'd go.
Yeah.
And you get all the bits and bobs.
All the snails.
Invertebrates up in the air.
Yeah.
But I think we need to pre-bait as well. So are we going to chuck a bit of mazing?
Pre-bait? See, I don't think pre-baiting for tench is a good idea.
Don't you?
No, I think you'll get played by bream.
You'll definitely attract the bream.
And I think once the bream are there, you have a little window where the tench feed, and then that's it. Like,
okay, so what? Let's say what we're going to... Because I've always pre-baited for the tench. Yeah, but I've used like a little bit of maize and a lot of wheat. They do like wheat.
Yeah.
What do you want to do?
Well, you pre-bait and I'll not pre-bait. How about that?
Don't cry.
That's fine. When you're crying with a breamer chuck going, oh, I couldn't catch these in the swing tip challenge.
Okay, what
another bream. Oh, it's another bream. No, I'm just catching tench. Clunk. Oh, there's another tench.
We'll contrast. Are you going to use chopped worms?
Obviously.
Oh, I see you got a tin of sweet corn there as well.
Well, that's just for show, isn't it?
Right. Okay, so we'll rake swims.
Yeah.
Well, I'll put a little bit of pre-bait in mine, nothing in yours.
No.
Do you want to rake it the night before?
Yeah, I think that's the best thing to do.
Okay, because we're gonna fish in the evening. That's what we're gonna do.
Well, that's the other thing. That time of day, through the summer, the drains from probably 10 o'clock till 5 o'clock, or 10 o'clock in the morning till 5 o'clock in the evening are a waste of time.
Yeah. Yeah.
They are a waste of time.
We could actually rake it mid-afternoon.
Could do, yeah.
Because it's not going to...
No, not going to do a lot.
Not going to do a lot.
Tench, normally evening fish, aren't they? And early morning.
Early morning, evening, yeah.
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 But yeah, going during the day is like not going to happen.
Yeah. Okay. So we laid out the plan then. So we got our heads around this. We caught a few tench from fen drones before. We know how to do this.
Yeah.
So we're going to prepare a couple of swims. We'll put a little bait in one of them, none in the other. We'll use the rakes, our main way of actually activating the swim.
Yeah.
To get the tench going, because they'll be in the area, and we'll try and pull them in, and then we're going to fish one evening into dark.
Yep.
And then try and film it, which is the biggest logistical headache. But I'm sure we can do that. And I reckon if someone gets 3 tench, they're going to win. Definitely.
Right. Oh yeah, yeah.
I think we should get 1 each.
Hopefully, yeah.
Yeah, but it's the case of how do you not catch the nuisance fish?
Well, that is it, isn't it? You have to be selective, don't you? And you have to fish bigger baits.
Oh, I like it. Big hooks.
Yeah, even though I fished a big hook than you in the... Yeah, I think for me, it's getting your hook bait where your worms are with bait droppers and make sure you're on the bottom and not sat on a load of weed. I think that is the key thing with tench. And timing as well. Timing for tench is a lot of things. I mean, through the summer when you're pleasure fishing, it's different because you sat there and you're waiting. Do you know what I mean? But in a match condition, mostly they get caught at the similar sort of time of day. So if someone catches one, have a quick look on your worm line. If you've got a set line somewhere, just have a quick look, because something triggers them into feeding. And, you know, a lot of the time you'll go in and you'll go, oh, there's tench, and then all of a sudden you go straight in and catch another one, and then that's it. Like, you don't catch anymore because there's like a couple in your swim and you've caught them.
Yeah.
Bit like perch, really.
Yeah.
Very similar. But you know when there's not a tench about, because it's not like you're going in and you're catching a little fish. Also, it just goes quiet. Maybe something to do with like your lure caught tench. They're quite aggressive, quite predatory fish. I remember going to Culverton Fish Farm.
Just pull the mic over.
Sorry.
That's all right.
Went to Culverton Fish Farm about 7 or 8 years ago, and had a tour around there and talking to the guys there, and they said tench are one of the most aggressive fish.
Well, going back to Italy, I wasn't the only person to catch a tench on a lure, and we spoke to the locals because obviously we could see the fish on the live scopes, and they said there's a lot of tench in here, and you kind of go. I know in Spain as well they have this barbel. They catch on lures as well, very aggressive. So yeah, so that's quite interesting. But it's interesting what you're saying. So also those pinhole bubbles, the very small bubbles that you see, you know, when there's tension in the swim compared to like a bream or a pike
or an eel bubble or whatever.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got that pretty well sorted. It's just we're going to talk about setups in a minute and how I would go completely different to you and how I would try and avoid the small fish with a certain setup.
Yeah.
So, should we talk about mine first? Because mine's very simple and yours is quite in depth. Right. So
no, mine's simple as well. I think over the years we've probably talked about it, but just more, I don't know.
I did try and find my Mr. Crabtree book and I couldn't find it anywhere.
What do you mean it weren't next to your bedside cabinet?
It's downstairs somewhere, I don't know where. But the reason why is that you've got the laying on and the lift method. They're both slightly different.
Right.
So I think I'm actually using...
Why is one 2 foot over depth, the other one 6 foot over depth?
Yeah, so the laying on method.
Right.
So you use a little float, a peacock quill traditionally, but top and bottom. Mm-hmm. So it's actually in line with in your line. So I'm probably going to use Maxima, £6 straight through.
Yeah.
Donk. And then I'm going to fish it probably about 6 inches over depth. Mm-hmm. And about that far from my hook, I'm going to use a swan shot.
Right.
So a swan shot.
You mean an SSG shot?
SSG, swan shot, yeah. And then have it so the float cocks against the weight of the SSG. If it's too not heavy enough to get the float to cock, I'll put another shot just beneath the float. Mm-hmm. Now, this is why it's so good, because as Alex said, you do get other fish coming to the swim, like bream. And then what happens is, if you're not careful, you get line bites and you strike, and you can foul hook a fish and destroy your swim.
Yeah.
Because they go absolutely batshit crazy, and you can't control them, and that's game over. And also, you don't want to prick fish and spook them.
That's right, yeah.
So this is why this is so good for catching fish close in. Like I'm going to be just with the rod tip, just having drag the swim. And the tench comes in, and because of the way they feed, they'll suck in the dendrobina, size 8, might go to size 4.
Oh, I thought you was using bread.
Dendrobina and the sweet corn, tip
Right.
with a maggot, mate.
Right.
But like, they'll see it a mile off. They'll come in,
The old cocktail.
yeah, and they pick it up. Suck
So,
it.
sorry, you've got worm, sweet corn, and maggot on your hook.
Oh yeah,
Right, okay.
the maggot is to stop the worm coming off
Right. Yeah.
because they'll wriggle off.
I mean, not on traditional cocktail, sweet corn tip with a maggot.
Nah, they need a worm,
Right.
like a worm. And then what happens with the float? It will lie flat, but you don't strike.
Wait for it to run.
You wait for it to go, and then you got it. And that's how you can avoid spooking all the other fish. So you need a little bit of patience, but it does work an absolute treat. So that's how I'm going to get through the rudd and all the other nuisance fish that will be there, because that big hook, that big bait, and that weight quite close seems to put them off picking it up, and it gets through them really quick as well.
Yeah.
And you can tell, like I couldn't tell with the swing tip with the line bites because it was
Yeah.
all over the place. It's far easier with the float. So a few years ago, I did a charity thing where I took a friend fishing, and basically every time I took somebody, they paid 10 quid. I put 10 quid in, we went fishing, and we went to the cancer charity. And Ray Field, who rents a bit of the 16 foot, we went, and he challenged me. It's a very daft thing to do. And if you beat me, I'll give you 50 quid for the charity.
So, right, okay.
Yeah. So he came up. I caught two tench, 2 bream. We were there at 4 o'clock in the morning. Caught these fish, and he couldn't get through the nuisance fish. And
Right.
he was saying to me, "How are you avoiding catching?" He was getting rudder chuck little ones, and I explained to him about the
You
this
say I pre-baited mine and not yours.
and he was amazed how much pre-bait I put in as well. Yeah, I absolutely filled it in. But explained to him how you can tell what's happening because of the way the float's reacting. It's only when it goes flat, it has to that weight's picked up, and then when it goes away, you know it's definitely it's on.
Down here.
Then there every time, mate.
Yeah.
You circle look. That's the femboy way of doing it.
Yeah, it's
Right.
like the longest to scourge it with a
Oh, here we go.
long, screwdriver on the end just to get the hook out. Don't miss bite, boy.
I'm sure Cheesy Bob would agree.
He's the master, but you don't use.
I've been talking to him as well.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'll be down the old market. He's quite keen. He thinks you're gonna
Right, what you need to do, boy. Right,
he thinks you're gonna get a good hiding.
does he?
Oh yeah.
He thinks.
Oh yeah. He's told
Did,
me. Yeah.
Was that just because you were there, or?
No, he goes, he's got no chance, has he? I said the swing tip was lucky. He took me to a venue that was a bit wide. And he said he used a bolt rig to catch him. I couldn't believe it. Right, okay, so that's gonna be so anyway, that's a Mr. Crabtree method because it actually explains it in the book.
You're going for the nostalgia.
Always, mate, it's lovely, yeah. And I got another one. So that's why we're gonna do that. So tell me your heathen approach to this. How are you gonna go about it?
How are you going to feed it then? What you going to just chuck your bait in and just go?
It's only gonna be down there, isn't it? It's just gonna be down there.
Right, okay. So
If I
you're fishing on the end of your rod tip.
If I can't get it around my float from there, I need to pack up and go home.
Okay.
So I'm gonna use a bit of sweet corn, a bit
Yeah.
of wheat.
Right.
I might use a few dead maggots, just to
Yeah.
get the little fish going, the
Right,
tension. I ain't thought about that bit yet, but it'll come to me.
You do that.
But you said that you wouldn't use ground bait.
No, I'm not a fan of ground bait for tench.
I might use a bit of slop. I don't know.
Slot. When you trying to catch rudd or something.
Put
Anyway, I'm not saying nothing because.
Right, how are you going to do it? Come on, tell me.
Right.
Come on.
Well, the best way to catch tench is with a pole. 110%. Find holes in the weed. Obviously, if you're not breaking it and you haven't got the facility to do it, you have to use a heavy plummet. And I don't know if I've got a heavy. I think I've got a heavy plummet in it. A big heavy plummet for a start. That's the first thing you need. That's a 30 gram, but you need heavier than that. You need like a 40 or 50 gram plummet. and find holes in the weed.
You're basically turning into a carp angler.
No, it's called peg planning. Right? So find a spot, normally about 11 metres on the pole or 13 metres. If I was looking to catch a tench, I'd be looking for near side shelf or bottom of the far side shelf. Not very often. You might catch them straight down the middle, but I would look for... Normally I fish at an angle either side of me. Obviously, if I've got other lines, I have them in front of me, but...
Don't you encroach on my swim?
No, I'll be the opposite way. I even give the choice of the end peg and I still sat in the middle and battered you. So, basically, I'd look to bottom of the near side shelf, nice, comfortable, plumb up, find the cleanest spot. And the reason why I have a heavy plummet is you can feel when you're on weed. You can feel a nice little clonk, find a nice... It don't have to be flat, it just have to be not in the weed. That is the key thing. So that's the first thing you need to do, is make sure you're not fishing on weed. Then, next thing is rig-wise and elastic. You're fishing for tench. This time of year, they really are sort of supercharged, especially if they've been eating Andy's pre-bait for the last 3 nights or whatever. I like fairly soft but powers up elastic. 13 holler is a really good elastic. But just traditional slip, number 12, is just as good. Powers up quick. You want something that you hook a tench, you know you're going to get it out, you're going to be comfortable with. Even if it's foul hooked, you want to have that sort of confidence.
I can tell you now, if you foul hook one, I might have to have a steward sat behind you.
The first one the other day.
The bream?
Yeah.
I know, I just fess up.
Yeah. So that's elastic choice. Main line. So I would use 020 main line. Obviously, everyone's got their favourites. 020 tournament rig line or 020 X5000. Any of those there are... You just want 020 because it's going to be going through some weed. Now, float choice. You want something that's got a nice bristle on it. So I've just picked a few from the shop here. So we've got the Press Innovations Powers, the Drennan AS6s, and we've also got some New Fish bulk. They go up to 1 gram, so they're nice for like the shallower drains.
Just hold them up, mate, so you can see.
Can we see that?
Got the other hand as well. They look quite nice.
Yeah. So as you can see, these are all nitinol, apart from this one, that's a carbon stem. Normally I go for carbon stem, but these nitinol wire,
Will they lift and lay flat?
They will. They will when there's one on.
Do they actually lift up?
Well, the carbon ones, yeah, are more prone to lift, but these are a mix of wire and carbon nitinol,
So yeah.
which seems to be the rage. They're in line as well, so again, more strength. Going back to plumbing up, what I didn't say is you need what we call pole support. Pole support makes fishing worms so much easier. One, you know exactly you're fishing in the right spot every time, so you're accurate.
Are you going to actually be that accurate?
Well, yeah, I'm a match angler. Yeah.
Your face.
So obviously, so you know where your bait is. Not like Andy, where he feeds the size of March and then hopes that his bait gets picked up. So I'm going to feed him, because you're only fishing in little holes in the weed, don't forget. So, one, use about a spray bar for that, and 2, between your legs, you've got your hands free. You can chop some more worms up, and you can hold your rig dead still. So you're going to be probably fishing a couple of inches over depth. You might want to be a little bit more if you feel like you need to, but normally I fish 2 inches over depth. Hook length wise, I use 8-inch hook lengths for tench, because obviously, like, you have your lift method. If I was fishing for smaller fish, I'd have a shorter hook length. But with tench, I want to make sure they've got it, but not like 4 hours got it in their mouths. So nice 8-inch hook length, and don't mess about. Obviously, tech stream is the way to go, as always. You can't beat it for hook lengths. On really snaggy venues, I'd be like maybe an 018, but this time of year, 016 is what I'd go for, and then through the winter when there's not so much weed, 014. And then hook wise, My favourite hook that's been around forever and ever and ever and ever and ever is the Kamazan B711 barbed in a 13 or a 15. Now, I've never had any problems with these hooks. They are mega for worm fishing. They're strong. I just like the shape. But if you wanted sort of a
They
pattern,
look a bit thin to me, mate. You're going to get straight into the lily pads.
I've never ever had a
I'm going to use
B711
a
straight.
Kamazan animal.
Say no more.
Like a coat
Are
hanger.
you fishing for rudd? Fishing a spinner here? Oh, this one just come out of this packet.
Oh, mate, don't drop it.
How the hell's that come out of there?
So, a few weeks ago, we had ground bait on the site.
Right, so these
Now we've
are
got hooks
so
in it.
this, if you wanted like a really stronger, like a more wide gape pattern, then the Hayabusa 122s, they're a black hook. They don't. You catch barbel on these on the Trent. They're a brilliant hook. I know a lot of the anglers that fish like flat floats and lobbies and that for big perch and that on the Trent never had a problem with these. They are a really good hook. So if you wanted something a bit stronger, but I've never had a problem with 711s ever. Never had an issue with them. So they're my two hooks that I use for proper
You're going to be crying.
jungle
Oh,
warfare.
that's three.
So that's hook lengths. We've spoke about length of hook length, hooks, line diameter, floats, and now it's all about feeding. So for me, I know I don't personally like using ground bait, but as all ground baits say, they do exactly what they do on the tin. Expo.
I'm going to use that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Put my worm in it, chuck it out. That's how I'm going to get it out there.
Right. So Expo and Vandenine has been around for years. So if someone said to you, I'm going tench fishing and you wanted a bag of ground bait for tench,
Well, we'll test it. I'm going to use it.
Expo.
And I want my money back if I don't catch it.
All right.
Even though I'm going to nick it
for
from the
tench,
shop.
carp and bream, but it's got pictures of tench. For some reason, they stopped making this for a little while, but it's back available and noddies like Andy will love it.
What's this?
Oh, secret. So another additive that they used to use a lot for tench fishing was blood meal.
Oh, that smells nice.
Really? So blood meal you can't get anymore, but that was a real like sort of secret they used to use in the chop worm. But now obviously you can't get that. So there's obviously a few liquids you can use. You can get liquid worm, which obviously has been around forever, and then predator liquid, which is this one. Some anglers have got a lot of faith in it. You know, they literally have their tea with it. But if you just want something different, maybe if you want to top up just to get some bites off, just try and make something happen, then add some Predator Plus in there, just into your worms. So the way I start my peg would be 2 bait droppers of worms. Depending on time of year. This time of year, there's lots of other fish going to be eating it, so you want plenty of bait down there. So I'll chop up dendrobinas. I prefer dendros for tench than lobworms. I don't know what it is. I think if I was fishing for perch, lobbies, but for tench, I think they like dendros more. I might be completely wrong, but I just find that dendros are better. So it'd be chopped dendros, probably. So if you had a pint tub, you'd fill probably, I don't know, say 250 ml of bait in 250 ml of worms minced up. That's going to go in the start, go hard, go home. By the time you minced it up, it's probably like half a pot. So minced is probably about 125 ml. So that goes into a bait tub. Then I'll probably put like a quarter pint of casters.
Well, that's a good tench bait as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Forgot about that.
Yeah.
So put some ground bait.
So put some casters, a few grains of corn, just as not too many, just a few bits of corn, and I'll add some hemp in there as well. You know, if I was trying to be a bit selective for tench, I just think hemp particles just keeps them in your swim a bit longer. No maggots. Don't want to catch eels. No, don't want to catch eels. Don't want to catch rudd. I want to catch tench. That's what the challenge is.
So particles only.
I would, yeah. Particles only. The worms are what they mainly want, and then you can either use a cable tie on your pole for those that have not used a bait dropper. There's not loads available on the market now, and if I was a guru or someone matrix, looking for a new product to invent, to bring out, a redesign and improve, it would be a bait dropper, because there's only the Thamesley bait droppers, bright, shiny, like bait droppers about, and the ones I've got a couple of Fox bait droppers left, and they're plastic, but they're vented, so like, and they come with different length stems, and they were brilliant. They are the
I've
best.
got a couple banging about somewhere.
What, the Fox one? Fox? No, you'd have the Thamesley ones.
I don't know.
Yeah, so if you were fishing like the Trent, you'd have like the Thamesley heavy ones, because obviously the flow and stuff. But for the drain, sometimes when you bait dropper in, you get a real silty bottom. Like, naturally, it just is real silty. Like the 40 foot is a prime example. You really struggle to empty your bait dropper. So with these bait droppers I've got, you can screw like stems as well, and you can screw different weights.
Ah, nice.
Right.
Yeah.
So why no one's brought these back out again? I think they'd do well as a product. Obviously, you can vary the length of how far your bait dropper opens. So if you want a bigger spray of bait, sometimes with the little Thamesley ones, it goes down and it is really tight and neat. But in the weed and stuff like that, I don't know. It's things to think about, little things, little advantages. But yeah, so 2 bait droppers, which would be a large bait dropper in. Put them out. So ship out with its cable tie on, swing it out, turn it over. Obviously, before it comes down, don't rush it. Just take your time, nice and steady. Get your rig in the right spot, and then just lower it in, nice and steady. And when it goes in, because you can see your rig and it like goes in a couple of times. Lift up, make sure it's emptied, and then swing it right round, and then ship back. I'm not a fan of bringing it straight back through your swim, especially if like you got roach lines and stuff like that. Put that up, and then normally, obviously we're just fishing for tench, so I'd go straight on it. Normally I'd go somewhere else in my peg, and 20 minutes I'd have a look. Hook bait wise, giving away all my secrets here, isn't I? It would be a medium dendrobina, nipped in half, and then just tip it with a pinky, single pinky, just so it just like a bit of a visual thing. And fish it 2 inches over depth. Have my bulk. It's a bit different. If you were fishing for perch, you'd have your olivet a little bit higher, because you're trying to show them the bait and try and basically drop shot it. But with tench, I think they're very rarely. But lifting and dropping does work for tench. If there's signs is fishing your peg, just lifting your rig out like 8, 10, 12 inches, and then dropping it back in again sometimes produces a bite. But key thing is make sure the fishing where your bait is, for me.
That's good. That is good.
The other thing is, normally, like when you worm fishing, you try and dot your float down too much. For worm fishing, I'm more of a fan of using these bristles here, I think they're like a 1.5 mil, which you could use thicker. Do you know what I mean? You could use thicker, but when I'm worm fishing, I like to have more bristle showing. Normally, you'd have like that. Do you know what I mean? You'd have it dotted down, but with this, I just like to have a bit more bristle showing, so not too thick a bristle, but more showing, and that way you can read your bite a bit better. Once it goes under, give it the old God save the king.
Oh, hello. So you were having a go at me. Are you going to need a long disgorger as well?
No, be hooked perfectly here, every time.
That's really comprehensive, and it's actually made me want to go now.
Does it?
Yeah, looking forward to that. I don't know how we're going to fit it in, but we will somehow.
Yeah, lay the table, and
wait. If you feed them, they will come.
Yeah, and normally, if you get one, you get another one fairly quickly straight after.
Yeah, yeah, you should get a couple.
This time of year, tench show themselves. In the evenings, they're crashing about everywhere.
Like bubbling, aren't they? We'll see them.
Yeah, they're just like rolling, and you're like, that was a tench.
Yeah, like old oily green.
They're stunning, isn't there? Something about tench. Something about them.
Catching one on a lure, mate, was a bit weird.
Yeah,
it was
imagine.
like, this isn't right.
Yeah.
I thought I hooked a big bass, and then it didn't fight. It got in the net. I went, tench. That's not right.
And they catch quite a few of them on
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I thought, wow. Didn't use the old lift method for that one, or the laying on, whatever it is. But so guys, this is the challenge has been set. Alex has explained in detail how he's going to do it. I haven't actually told you all my secrets, because obviously I won't. I'm going to cheat a little bit.
Probably.
The rules are there are no rules.
Mm.
We'll think of what we'll do the next podcast. We'll actually do it mostly from the riverbank, so we won't go into great detail about setups because you've done it.
Yeah,
But we'll show
explained
everybody.
it here. Yeah.
And then we'll have a bit of banter on the bank. We do need people to help with cameras, so we could perhaps get one or two get a few delinquents down again, like Ray Malley.
Yeah. Bless him.
Get a few people down. So that'd be really good. One thing, and we'll think of we will state the forfeit at the beginning of the filming.
Yeah.
And I think, guys, send us comments.
So what are you going to be doing then?
I think you've probably got to wear a clown hat in the shop for a day, haven't you?
Well, that ain't going to happen. What are you going to be doing?
Oh, I'll wear a clown hat
Oh,
somewhere.
yeah.
Next fishing trip. I'll video and show you.
You've got a I Love You Simon t-shirt. You got to wear that for the next podcast.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that what it is? At the moment, we'll have to make. That means we've got to make a t-shirt.
I know. I'm doing it now.
Mate, there's a lot of things to do here. Unless someone could send us actually, if someone makes one for it, that'd be the best thing. We haven't had any stuff sent in for a little while. So if someone out there
I think it should be I Love You Simon Spurs t-shirt.
that's a bit extreme.
Wow.
Can you imagine I'd burn it. Wear that. Couldn't wear that. Use it as toilet roll. Right.
You better win this challenge.
Well, yeah, better. We haven't. We also meant to speak about Fish O Mania very quickly.
Well, I did sort of mention it right at the beginning when I said, "Oh, what, you're going to have a reweigh?" And you obviously didn't cotton on to it, did you?
Now,
just ruined my link.
Sorry,
I didn't. How unprofessional.
Yeah, I know. I read something that didn't make any sense on social media. That it got a bit weird with the weigh-ins towards the end. Do you know what happened?
Well, I actually went. So it was the first time I've been back to Westwood in 10 years. And it was great to go back and see the people that I hadn't seen for ages and see Alan and everyone.
Nice.
Yeah, it was really nice. And the trees are like 8 foot tall now instead of 2 foot tall. And I really enjoyed my day, to be fair. Really enjoyed it. And obviously locally we had Ben, Jimmy and Adam fishing the final. So we wanted one of the locals to do really well. And the last hour is when you're there, it's different. When you sat at home, you're getting you know exactly who's doing what and the weights are going in. And it was like last hour, there's 3 of them really close, and Jimmy like hooked a fish, and then Kieran would hook a fish, and then Dave Shies, he's got 2 and worked it out. We said, we reckon Jimmy's going to be 1 fish shy. We reckon Kieran's got it. Anyway, come the weigh-in, it turned out that the Dave Shies had won by 100 grams.
Oh.
Right? So we're like, oh, wow, gutted for Jimmy and obviously and that. And then nothing really happened for like 5 minutes. And we're like, what's going on? And then obviously people are getting messages on their phone from people watching. They're asked for a reweigh. So we're like, what? A reweigh? Well, it's never going to weigh the same. Never going to weigh the same. And I said to a couple of lads that was near, I said, well, this is going to make a mockery of match fishing now. I said, they're never going to weigh the same. It's like...
You mean it's the scalesman has got to make a decision as that needle's moving?
No, because they're digital scales. So they lock.
Oh, that's another issue on its own, right?
Right, so this is what people were saying, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of people are slating digital scales now. So a lot of people have give the Angling Trust stick, a lot of people have give this stick, and you think, well, actually, it's just one of them things. That if the scales are read properly, there's nothing wrong with digital scales.
On a bank with a tripod.
Like when you fish your top international competitions, are they digital scales?
But you measure length.
Right. Well, all the top international fishing matches are all digital scales. And there's never any controversy because they only use 1 set for each section. Whereas with Fish O Mania, they had like 7 sets or 8 sets or whatever it was. Basically, you put the bag on the scales, 0. 0, okay. Fish goes in. It basically goes up, down, up, down. So when you first put it on, it will say minus £2, whatever, which is the weight of the bag or the net. Then all of a sudden it just jumps it doesn't look right because obviously everyone's used to seeing the scale go like that, aren't they? And then flicker the last little bit. So this just goes and jumps up, and it'll go like, I don't know, say 59, 50, 61, and it'll just keep, and then all of a sudden it averages it out, and then it'll go £59.14 or 13 or like whatever, and it holds, locks. That's it. Everyone can see it. That's the weight. That's what's been called. Sorted. So I don't see the issue with.
So when they did the reweigh,
Well,
then what happened?
so apparently there was a bit of controversy because when they were watching the scales on, obviously this is when it's on TV, people going, oh, it was like 5, nearly 6 kilo, and it just jumped to 7 kilo and then locked, right? So some people were saying there's something wrong with the scales. Well, if everyone's weighing on the same set of scales, it doesn't make any difference, does it?
No.
But when there's lots of different sets
Yeah.
of scales,
Yeah.
then it's different.
Yep.
So obviously whoever, I don't know who called for a reweigh or whatever, they did a reweigh. I don't think Sky were too happy about it. The lady was like, "Oh, what's going on?" Because I think she wanted to pack up and go. So we're like, really? So then obviously the first set of scales they used didn't work. They were like,
Oh no.
how unlucky is that?
Oh no.
Right? So then they got another set of scales and did 2 separate weighs. And the first angler weighed 3 kilo less than what he'd had weighed over the 10 weigh-ins or whatever. So everyone's going, huh?
Oh.
Right, this is why why I said it'd make a mockery, because
Yeah.
it would happen. The fish get stressed in the nets.
Yep.
Every time, not that they're zero in the. Do you know what I mean? There is all these little things
Yeah.
that can happen.
All these little variables.
Right.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay. Then Jimmy weighed in. They said they'd reweigh the top 3. Then Jimmy weighed in, and he was 5 kilos less than what he originally would have weighed in. Right. So how does that work?
That's about 12 pounds.
Yeah,
Was
difference.
it? 11, 12 pounds.
Difference.
Yeah.
Right? And you think, don't make sense.
No.
And then they went round to the Dave Shires, and he weighed 3 kilo whatever less, but it turned out he actually won by more. He won by like 500 grams instead of 100 grams or whatever. So eventually the guy that won did win, which was otherwise it'd have been uproar.
Oh,
mate.
right. So
Yeah.
the final result went off the reweigh weights, did it? Not the initial weights.
Well, they only weighed the top 3, so really should have reweighed everyone. Because,
worse, isn't
do you know what I mean? In a separate section,
Yeah.
like Adam missed out by 250 grams. He never got a reweigh. The guy that won his section won the section.
Oh,
So do you see what I mean? It's made a bit of a mockery of it.
yeah.
And there's people getting stick for stuff, and it's all at hand, and really it's...
See, I got
what it is.
digital scales are a nightmare. Let me explain. I've always used dial scales, and about 3 or 4 years ago, I bought a set of digital scales. I bought a set from your shop, a nice quorum set,
Yeah.
and I got given the tube version. I want it in a comp,
Salter, yeah.
Reuben Heaton.
Yeah.
So they do digital scales, and I was using those two, and I was using a digital scale, and I was catching some really big perch. But with pike, I don't care. I use a dial scale, and I normally on a boat, I just take the nearest half pound down because to me,
Yeah.
the boat's moving.
Yeah.
And I don't.
Yeah.
I just want to rough it. It's not. It doesn't have to be accurate, but with perch, obviously, they need to be far more accurate because you're looking at ounces that make the difference rather than quarters and half a pound.
Yeah.
So I wanted, trying to catch £5 perch. So catching these 4-pounders, I wanted to know how much they weighed. And the digital scales on a windy day were really inaccurate because the boat's rocking. You've got a fish in a bag, so zero the bag, and because you've got that pendulum effect that you can't avoid because the boat's rocking in the wind.
Yeah.
The scales would either lock at a heavier point or a lighter point. So what I'd end up, you'd have to keep reweighing them. And I worked out with the quorum scales, if you did about 5 weigh-ins, quick on the bottom of the boat, you'd normally get 2 or 3, which were the same. And I'd always use that as my weight.
Yeah.
And then when I compared it to the dial scales, it was that one that was always the same. If I went to the extremes, God knows what it weighed.
Yeah.
And a friend of mine put me onto Fox digital scales. So I've got this. They're really expensive. They're about 70 odd quid.
Mm-hmm.
They don't lock. And the fact they don't lock make them more accurate
Right.
because you just wait for it to settle, and that's the weight. And comparing the Fox scales to the dial scales, they're within an ounce every single time. So that's the one problem with locking digital scales.
Yeah.
But on the bank, on a tripod, you haven't got that pendulum effect.
No.
It shouldn't be so bad. It should be more accurate.
Yeah.
However, there are variables like if these fish get put in, if it's a bit rough with the scalesman's a bit rough with putting the basket on the scales, if they've got a very small time window of when they lock, it could offset it as well. And conversely, if they lift it up and hold it up until it settles, then let go, it could lock lighter as well. It just if it swings, it could be a problem. So it shouldn't be a problem match fishing. But
no, it's not, because they use it in FIPSED matches. So.
Yeah, and like you said, if they use the same set and they use the same
section.
scales, the same person's doing it, it should negotiate most of the problems. Yeah, but I don't. People go, oh, I've had this £5 8 perch, and you go, I bet you've got digital scales and they're locking, and you can get a pound difference, particularly in windy conditions. Yeah, so word of warning there: if you're using digital scales for weighing individual fish on a boat or whatever, it's not very good.
No,
but on the bank, it should be a lot
for
easier.
match fishing, they are pretty good. It says what it is.
Well, hopefully that hasn't cast, because Fish O Mania is great because it promotes the sport, doesn't it? So
Yeah.
hopefully that hasn't caused any problems. Right, we need to wrap this up, mate. Before we go, obviously we're tench fishing next time, guys, if we can get everything sorted. What have you got any big matches coming up? Any nationals or anything? Have you had them all? I'm out of loop totally. I don't know what's going on.
No, it's all, for me, it's all pretty quiet. But the Division 1 Nationals, middle of August. Then end of August, first week in September, I go to Ireland for 2 weeks. And then it's all go from then on, really. It's all crash, bang, wallop. There's Eastern Region on 10 mile middle level, and then Winter League starts, and you got the Broads 2-dayer, and before you know it, it's end of the season again.
Well, I think that's kind of laid out what we can do podcast-wise, isn't it? So, guys, we're trying to make it a bit. We're trying to get back the pleasure anglers that we had when we first started 5 years ago, and we went a bit too match orientated. We kind of lost a few listeners. So this is what we're trying to do: the dream and the tench and different things. Well, perhaps we might go rod fishing as well.
Yeah.
Before we get into the match side of things, but I think once we start hitting September, it might become a little bit more match orientated again. But we'll try and keep the species going. So, guys out there, if you want us to do something, someone mentioned roach fishing on the Relief Channel, but I think they've all been nailed by the cormorants.
What, big roach
Yeah,
fishing?
a long time ago. If anyone knows anything, let me know. But I think big rudd is a definite possibility. Going to get the boat out. We'll go down middle of nowhere and.
What about eels?
What, you want to go eel fishing?
They're a species worth targeting.
Should we do it? I can't stand them, but we'll go, shall we?
We'll have numbers game. Eel challenge. And you're not allowed to ring Spolt to come down and tip them in your net halfway through.
Right, okay, so we do the tench, the rudd and the eels.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think maybe if we had
Where are we going
a
to go?
chat with our mate John Price, we could talk about eels all night.
Oh,
Couldn't we?
Yeah,
We've got to, haven't
we
we?
get wee John in here,
Yeah.
so we need a bigger sofa.
Yeah.
How is Bagpuss?
He's all right.
There
He's
we go.
all right, yeah.
Yeah,
I
he loves it, doesn't he?
He knows quite a bit about eels because obviously working for a right agency.
That's a good shout, mate, yeah.
I think people would be like, wow, obviously Spolt catches them, but yeah, I think that'd be a good, an intellectual podcast.
Do you think he'd be up for it?
Yeah. Curry and a beer, I'm sure he would, wouldn't he?
Pay him with curry and beer, yeah. And Andy Kinder.
Yes, I spoke to Andy and he's well up for it.
Yeah.
So sooner the better.
We'll get
Obviously,
him in
Andy Kinder is obviously Maver, but he grew up round here. He's broad Sheffield, hey bandy accent, but he knows probably the old school proper in the day when the middle level, Relief Channel and stuff like that, all the old characters, he knows all them, so that'd be quite good.
His mum's from Lynn, isn't she?
Yeah. Ray Groom. A lot of people will know Ray.
Yeah.
probably Andy's dad as well, and yeah, so that's another good podcast.
Cool. So we've got a few lined up. So yeah, and then we'll just see how it develops this year. It'd be cool. All right, buddy. Thanks for today.
Yeah.
Get the forfeits in, guys, because Alex is going to be wearing something. And I'm just wondering how we're going to do this tench filming, but we'll find a way. Right, we're going to go. We'll catch you all later.
Bye bye.